Hello guys, welcome to the channel Easy ETL, your one-stop YouTube channel for all your ETL learning and solutions. Hello friends, this session is about categories of SQL queries. In SQL, the way we write and define the queries define its category. And we have a lot of categories in SQL queries when it comes to the type of computation that they are performing. So we'll start with the very first type, which is data retrieval queries. This is the very first type that we will be discussing. Now, in this category of SQL queries, we can have query operations which are select operation, right? So this is the most common query for retrieving data from one or more tables. Now, the second operation we can have in this category is distinct. This retrieves unique values from a column. The third type is where query operation. This type actually helps you to filter the data based on a specified condition. For example, if you want to retrieve data based on age between 25 to 30, then this is the clause or SQL operation which you will use along with the select statement, right? And the fourth type is order by. This helps you to sort the result set by one or more columns in ascending or descending order. Fifth type is limit or offset. It actually helps you to restrict the number of rows returned. For example, if I am doing a select star from table name, suppose table A, right? We have a table which is named as table A. It has 1000 rows in it. And if I do a select star from table underscore A, it will return me 1000 rows. But if I use the limit operator and I write that I just want 10 rows to be returned from the select star table underscore A query. So select star from table underscore A limit 10 will help me achieve that. Right, so this was the very first type of category of SQL queries that we have. Now let's move on to the second type. The second type of queries that we want to discuss is data modification queries. Now in this one, the first operation or the first operator type is insert into. Now this helps you to add new records to a table, right? Very easy. Now the second one is update. This helps you to update or modify the existing records in a table. For example, if you want to update the name of a student in a student's table, you can use this query operator, right? And the third type is delete. Like this is very intuitive that these all operations are very much understandable by their name only. So delete operation, it helps you to remove the records from a table, right? And now let's move on to the third type of category in SQL queries, which is aggregation queries. Aggregation queries. So under this category, the first type is group by. It helps you to group the rows based on a column. So this is one of the most common aggregation expression that we heavily use in our SQL operations. Second is count. It returns you the count of the number of rows that are there in the set of the result set that you have generated using your SQL queries. The third type is sum. As the name suggests, it calculates the sum of the values. Again, these aggregation operations are only used when you are actually aggregating the data. If you are not using the group by statement, your query will return an error mentioning that aggregation operations cannot be performed without using grouping or having statements. The fourth type is average, and you write it like this, AVG, as it's very intuitive. It calculates the average as it calculates the sum operator. And the fifth is max or min. So these are two different operators. One is used to get the maximum value and the other is used to get the minimum value, right? Again, all these are aggregation queries. These are aggregation operations and only to be used when you are actually grouping your data set based on some condition, right? And then the next category that we have in this video to discuss about is the join queries. Very famous type and very useful. Right. The first type of join is inner join. Inner join, or you can use it by just mentioning join. If you do not mention inner as well, the default version for just the join keyword is the inner join. So it helps you to retrieve rows that have matching values in both the tables. If any of the table is missing one particular set of value, no result will be returned in that case, right? So the values need to be matched in both the tables based on the join key that you guys are using, right? The second type is left join, right? Or left outer join. This is also termed as left outer join as well. Now it retrieves all rows from left table and matching rows from the right table. So when you are generating your query, so before left join, whatever table you have mentioned before in the query only, in the query sequence. So before left join, whatever table you have mentioned before writing this keyword left join, whatever table you have mentioned, that is treated as the left table. And the table which is mentioned after the left join keyword is treated as the right table. So it helps you to retrieve all rows from left table and only the matching rows from the right table, correct? And now the third type is the opposite of what we have just discussed, right join or right outer join. So similarly, as for the left join, this right join, it helps you to retrieve all rows from the right table and only the matching rows from the left table, right? And then the fourth one we have is full join or full outers join, right? Now this helps you to retrieve all rows whether there is a match in the left table or in the right table, right? So this was all about the join queries. Now let's move on to the next category, which is subqueries. Which is the subqueries type, right? So in subqueries, in SQL subqueries, the first one we have is nested select. That is a select statement inside a select statement. Nested select. It uses a select statement within another select statement, right? And the second type is in exists, right? So this thing, subqueries that check for existence of records or values in another query. For a very common example is create table if not exists. So ignore the not and create statement, but focus on the exists part. If not exists, right? So it will create the table if it is not existing, and if it is existing in your database, it will just skip that create statement, right? And in is another subquery that helps you to check the existence of records or values in particular column, right? And let's move on to the next category, which is conditional queries. Conditional queries or statements, right? Now in this we have two types. One is case and the other one is COALESCE or NULLIF, right? So case is used to perform conditional logic within a query. So as we all are programmers, we have seen the switch case in programming languages like Java or C or C++. So similarly, like that only, we use this case statement. NULLIF and COALESCE, these are used to handle null values. What if a null value is encountered? So these are used to provide the alternate value if any null value is encountered in a column value. And the next category we have is data definition queries. In this one, the first type is create, very famous and very commonly used. Create new databases objects like tables, indexes or views. So this is used to create any object in the database, right? Then there is alter, modifies the structure of an existing database object. Like you want to add a new column to the table. You want to add a new constraint to the table, already existing table, right? So you use alter statements. The third one is drop, very much similar to delete. Drop is used to delete a database object, right? Delete was very much specific for rows. Now drop is used to drop a database or drop a table. And The last category we have is transactional queries. Transactional queries are operators in this one are commit and rollback. Right. So commit is so transactional queries are the type of queries which we want to complete in one unit of instance. That means if that fails in any step between the query, we do not want any of those changes to be affecting our table, right? We just want to make sure that if all the steps within that transactional queries finishes successfully, then only we want to commit those changes into the table, right? So commit helps us to save the changes made during the current transaction. So it's actually a transactional unit of work that we want to do. We want to have that in just one unit. If any part of that unit fails, we do not want it to commit, or we do not want it to save. For example, your ATM transaction, that is a very common example. So when you are withdrawing your cash from your ATM card, from the ATM machine using your ATM card, you do not want to deduct the amount but not having the cash withdrawn from the ATM machine, right? If any failure occurs, you want to deduct the amount only when you have the cash in your hand. That is the last step of your transaction. You enter your PIN is then validated, then you might have few other security steps as well. Then you put the amount, then you select the account type, and all these are part of that transactional query, right? If you fail to do the correct step at any point of time, or there is a failure at any step of that complete transaction, your transaction will roll back. No matter if it is just the last step, your entire transaction will roll back. You have to take your ATM card out of the ATM machine again, and then again you have to reinitiate that transaction by inserting it into the machine, right? So these are the transactional queries. Rollback again undoes the changes made during the current transaction, correct? So this is what rollback does. Now this was all about the categories of SQL queries that we wanted to discuss. So these categories cover a wide range of SQL queries that cater to different needs of working with relational databases. So understanding of these categories will help you to effectively interact with databases for various purposes, from simple data retrieval operations to complex analysis or modifications. And this was all about this lesson. Thank you. Hello friends, please don't forget to subscribe the channel by clicking on the subscribe button. Also, you can enable notifications for any new upcoming videos, and please like the videos that I post. Thank you.